I'm sure you've heard the news that space is the final frontier. Well, we're beginning to learn that space is the next frontier, and there's lots more out there than we ever imagined. There's something known as the Karman line, which is widely recognized as the boundary between Earth's atmosphere and outer space, and it's set at an altitude of 100 kilometers, which is just about 62 miles above sea level. This invisible demarcation serves as a critical reference point for aerospace engineering, space law, and international treaties, distinguishing where national airspace ends and the realm of outer space begins. It's named after a Hungarian-American engineer and physicist named Theodore von Karman. In 1930, Karman accepted the directorship of the Guggenheim Aeronautical Laboratory at the California Institute of Technology and moved his family to California, where he's buried, though he died in Germany in 1963. During his years, he began getting funding and then working for the U.S. government, and he founded several space companies. He even helped establish the NATO Aerodynamics Research Oversight Group, the International Council of the Aeronautical Sciences, and the International Academy of Astronautics, among others. It's widely believed that Karman was a Majestic 12 scientist, and while the members were never to be disclosed, declassified government photograph notes that Karman was proud to be associated with MJ-12. I have a link to the Majestic files in the description. In case you don't know, the Majestic 12 was a high-level U.S. above top-secret research and development intelligence operation known variously as MJ-12 and Operation Majestic 12. There is a declassified document explaining a lot about it on Dan Willis's webpage that will be linked in the description, but I will be covering this document in the next videos because there's some really telling stuff in it. By the time I get done with this series, I hope that you will have a better understanding of what's really going on with our association with extraterrestrials, and which has been going on for a very long time. But for now, let's get back to the U.S. Space Command. Beyond the Karman line, space is considered an international domain, free from national sovereignty, and its governance and security involve complex coordination among global entities, including military organizations like the United States Space Command. Beyond the Karman line, no single entity polices space in the traditional sense because it's considered an international domain under the Outer Space Treaty, signed by 115 countries, including major spacefaring nations. The treaty prohibits anyone from laying claim of outer space, bans the placement of nuclear weapons in orbit, and mandates that space be used for peaceful purposes only. Enforcement is not centralized and relies on voluntary compliance, diplomatic negotiations, and international organizations like the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. The lack of a global enforcement body has created challenges, particularly as space becomes more contested with the rise of anti-satellite weapons, space debris, and commercial activities. National space agencies, military organizations, and international agreements play roles in monitoring and securing space activities. For example, spacefaring nations track objects in orbit to prevent collisions and monitor potential threats. The United States Space Command is part of the U.S. Department of Defense and is a key player in outer space. Space Command is responsible for military operations in space, including protecting U.S. and allied assets beyond the Karman line. The United States Space Command, re-established in 2019, is the U.S. military's Unified Combatant Command. It first operated from 1985 to 2002, when it was absorbed into U.S. Strategic Command after the post-9/11 military restructuring. Space Command's mission includes deterring aggression, protecting U.S. and allied space assets, delivering space capabilities to joint forces, and defending against threats in the space domain. U.S. Spacecom coordinates with other U.S. combatant commands, allies, and commercial partners to ensure space superiority, particularly in light of growing threats and cyber attacks on satellites. It oversees 6 component agencies, each with distinct roles in space operations. Here's an overview of these components and their roles beyond the Karman line. The U.S. Space Force is the primary service branch under U.S. Spacecom. It's responsible for organizing, training, and equipping forces for space operations. It conducts space domain awareness, tracking over 44,000 objects in orbit to prevent collisions and monitor threats. The USSF also develops and tests space technologies, such as counterspace capabilities. The Space Force's Space Delta IX focuses on orbital warfare, including offensive and defensive operations to protect us from threats from beyond. The Army's space component integrates space capabilities into ground operations, focusing on missile defense and space-enabled targeting. Beyond the Karman line, it supports communications for Army units, ensures access to space-based intelligence, and develops ground-based systems to counter space threats. It also operates the Joint Tactical Ground Station for missile warning using space-based sensors. NavSpace is the Navy's space component, and beyond the Karman line, NavSpace ensures naval forces have access to GPS for navigation, satellite imagery for situational awareness, and secure SATCOM for global operations. It also contributes to space domain awareness by tracking objects that could affect maritime assets. For example, NavSpace supports the Navy's use of the wideband global SATCOM system, operating in orbits far beyond the Karman line for real-time command and control. That means have communication with outer space. Although the Space Force assumed most space responsibilities, the Air Force retains a role in integrating space capabilities into air operations. Beyond the Karman line, the Air Force supports joint operations by providing space-based intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, and ensuring interoperability between air and space domains. The Marine Corps also has a space component which was just established in 2023 and focuses on integrating space capabilities into expeditions. Beyond the Karman line, the Marine Unit ensures the Marines coordinate with U.S. Spacecom to leverage space assets for tactical advantage. Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC. Space Elements integrate space capabilities into special operations, focusing on covert and rapid response missions. Beyond the Karman line, JSOC leverages satellite communications, imagery, and signals intelligence to support special forces worldwide. Its role is highly classified but includes ensuring resilient space support for operations in contested environments. Joint Special Operations Command uses secure SATCOM links from satellites in high orbits to coordinate real-time operations in remote regions. As we look to the heavens, U.S. Space Command is not only defending our skies but also preparing the way for humanity's boldest journey yet, the exploration of worlds beyond our own. The agencies within it are laying the foundation for missions that could one day soon take us past the moon, across Mars, and into contact with the unknown. The last frontier is no longer just a dream. It is calling, and the path forward begins now.